You guys ready for the question here?
Fucking bring the
Yeah.
question on.
Beyond the lawn. Question for the podcast. If everyone is pushing to know your numbers this year and people actually raise their price, for those who do not have a software or know their numbers, could this be considered the year for the underbidders?
I think it's always the year for the underbidders.
I was thinking the same thing.
I also think that
I think I am the underbidder.
you're the rage bidder.
I'm the rage bidder.
So
That's for sure.
I also think that the whole knowing your numbers thing, that's been going on for years. Maybe it's more prevalent this year. Maybe there's just more people attacking that as a I think that some of the gurus are it's not as easy to sell courses when there's not tons of money floating around.
True.
Or
I
people
think
pay attention to how many subscriberships they have. Yeah. I don't know.
um my philosophy is not so much know your numbers, but maybe know your threshold for how low you can go and still fucking pull it off without losing your shirt. That's what I'm going by this year. And it seems to have worked. We picked up a lot of little stuff, but not necessarily anything substantial, like a week here, a week there. We're running on weeks of jobs that are only a week long. So
That's still all right.
yeah, I mean
At least
every
if you at
little
least if
bit.
you fuck something up, you're only there for a week.
Yeah,
You didn't
yeah,
fuck something up for 10 years or a year or 10 months or some bullshit. At least if you
yeah.
you fucked it up for 5 days and you moved on.
Moved on. Put the money in your wallet and don't look back until
But
they call you within the next 9 years to fix something.
did you respond to that?
Oh yeah, how'd
Um,
that go?
I said I'll send someone by to look at it whenever we get a minute, but I don't know what you do about a quarter inch crack in a wall, a 2 course wedge wall after 8 years, 8 years in August. Like I think that's
What did Alex from Block Techo tell you to do about it?
make it into a teaching moment or
Is what
something,
he
or
did?
an upsell moment,
Mm.
you know. And at 80 years old, I don't think these people necessarily want a brand new patio for $20,000.
I
Did
think
you?
the answer with all of those is always circumstantial. Like you know the client best, you know what
Yeah,
they need. You're in the best situation to be able to make that call.
yeah.
Alex isn't in the best situation.
I'm not saying that.
Well, he
I'm just
doesn't. He
saying
hasn't
that
met the
Chad is
client.
the person who knows the client.
Well, that's making some assumptions about Alex's knowledge of the Cornwall area.
That's true.
He's
Maybe
been
he
here once.
knows.
He's
Maybe he
been here
knows a
once.
lot about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just putting it out there. Like, why isn't maybe Alex knows those people. I don't know. It's a teachable moment here.
Teach him a moment.
Teachable moment.
I
Yeah.
just, I don't know.
Did you
Little
ask
thing.
him to come down and help you with the sale?
No, no. I've resigned myself to the fact that I'm not good at sales,
Mm.
and unless things get a lot tighter around here, I'm just gonna keep going the way I'm going, doing it the way I've always done. For some reason, that's got us by 13 years. Today, some guy called me while I was eating dinner, and he says, "I really love your name. I pulled your company out of the phone book." I said, "The phone book? I didn't know people still had those." And second, I didn't know we were in the phone book. He's like, "Oh yeah, I need someone to fill in my pool for the second time. The guys who did it the first time didn't do a very good job." He's like, "Can you come out and meet us?" I said, "Sure."
We're gonna do dig out the pool and then refill it.
No, I'm gonna fill it in more. The
It's
Yep.
deep the
settled.
deep end is coming back. The deep end is getting deep again. The shallow end not so bad, but that deep end is holding water. So I don't
No,
know.
but do you think the problem is they didn't break the floor out of it?
Um,
So adding more dirt on top, like the
I
problem,
don't
I'm
I
just
don't necessarily think they didn't break the floor out of it. I don't know if it's holding water, but it happened 2 years ago. There's gonna be some settlement, right? I'm like, did you put structural fill in there? He's like, they put dirt. I'm like, yeah, you didn't use any structural fill or anything like that. Like this was expected to happen, and maybe they didn't. Uh,
There was
didn't.
solidification going on.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, they were happy with the guy. I'm going in there to see if I can add some more soil or whatever and make it flat.
So if it's already settling because they didn't break out the floor and they didn't use the right materials, I know there has been some solidification, obviously. Are you going to make sure that there's no warranty? Like, I'm not warranting the dirt I put here because it could sink more because this
Well,
is
yeah, the guy underneath it could still be sinking, right?
that's what I'm saying. Like, that's
Yeah,
why I don't like jobs like that.
yeah.
Because now
Well,
I'm the last person who touched it.
yeah. Um, I'll do anything for a price, and I'll just make sure the price warrants having to come back and add more topsoil another time, right?
Mhm.
For one more shot. I figure it can't take more than 3 times to get the job right, can it? Watch me do metrics
Um,
on that.
I don't know. We built the same set of stairs like 10 times. The stairs of
Ooh,
shame. Stairs of
yeah.
shame. They flooded a man's basement though.
Oh,
Stairs of shame were intense. A man's flooring was sacrificed in his basement.
hmm.
I must have told the stairs of shame story.
I don't
I
think
don't know if
so.
you did.
No.
You had. So, did you spend a weekend repairing the floor for the
Yeah,
guy on it?
yeah, I
Yeah,
did. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That was good times. Yeah. Stairs of
Would you?
shame. Whatever you do when you're building stairs, don't build them over the vent for the plumbing.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. Stairs of shame. I have no stories left.
I don't know. I'm sure you can dig some
Used
more.
up
Do you
my
want a
whole
question though?
used up my whole life. Bring on a question.
Okay. Where did it go? Tom Brown's life. Who we got to meet actually at the car event there.
We did, yes.
You guys should talk about alternative financing options for landscape clients. And he sent us a screenshot of one of these companies that offer it for landscapers. And it was typically a 13.99% rate.
Ooh,
So
prime plus. What's that? 6? Prime 5 plus 13.
when
8.
all the manufacturers were pushing this whole bring the financing to your clients, I just like I don't want to know that much about them. I just don't. I don't care. I don't want to be I don't want someone calling me up and saying 20 years ago you convinced me to finance my patio at 14 points and now the mafia's taken my knees and I don't know I don't want to be involved in people's finances. Like just pay me the money. How you get it, I don't want any fucking part of it.
Yeah, I
Especially when
don't.
the rates are that high. I
That's my
like
opinion.
me pushing that would I would feel too slimy.
I'm not the bank, and I'm not a representative for the bank, so
How many
I don't
bank
feel.
representatives have neck tattoos?
Uh, Probably none. I probably couldn't even get a job at a bank. Like, yeah, it's definitely not my place to
Would you sell
line
it at
up
a good
finance.
would you sell it at a good rate, Mike? Because you're saying your problem isn't selling the financing to your clients, your problem is the rates.
No, I think the first stop is like you. I don't want to be involved in that sort of thing in their finances. And then the second worst thing is that rate. I couldn't sell somebody on that rate. I wouldn't want to sell somebody on that rate.
What if you were getting a 3-point kickback?
No, because I'll make the money that I want to make on the landscaping.
I can accept that. I've never I know there's people who swear by this. I've never
This is the problem with us. We typically agree on these types of things. What's the
How hard is it to find 3 people that agree that a 14.99%?
Yeah, I guess so.
Is that super tough? Like, I feel like if we walked down the street, we could find 3 people that agreed that financing your pool for 14 points is a bad idea.
Yeah, but I have workers that finance their car at 25%, right? Like,
Yeah.
and these people are the first ones to jump in line and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm getting a new car. The use rate is 26.3. It's less than my last one of 28.9." You know,
Yikes.
like you're fucked.
You are fucked.
It also says if you do not qualify for our standard rates, you might get approved for one of our other programs at 16.99% to 19.99%.
Wow.
It must be difficult to find 3 people that agree that that's stupid. Like,
but you can justify it because the landscape will increase your property value by 20%. So what's 20% interest rate on the
you still got to pay the money back.
I'm just trying to find some sort of way to.
I have enough. I don't like picking out paver colors. Never mind discussing finance rates. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Another thing to add to the bag. No, thank you.
Exactly.
Can you do the finance talk whenever you're wheeling around the case of samples? Like, is that the same visit?
You think that talking finance with your clients is a teachable moment?
Can you help your 80-year-old client finance that crack fix on their wall?
Don't worry, you haven't paid off in 10 years. You'll also be dead.
I don't give a shit about this finance rate. I'll be dead. Give me the 16.9.
Here's a question. Would you rather do a beautiful once in a lifetime job and sell the client on a finance rate of 15% just so you can do it, you get the chance to do the job? Or would you go around doing $5,000 walkways for the next 3 months?
I'd go around doing $5,000 walkways.
I think I'd do the same.
I don't want anything. I want nothing. Now we've done whole jobs that were big jobs, and I've never even been in the people's fucking houses. I don't want to know what goes on in your house.
I don't want to.
Any idea.
I
ring the doorbell. I take 5. When I ring a doorbell at a house to say I'm there, I ring the doorbell. I take 5 steps back right off the porch. Mm-hmm. So there's very little chance of them inviting me in the door. I've already established. That's why I step back. Bro, I'm telling you. You ring the doorbell, 5 steps backwards right off the fucking porch. If you stand near the door, these motherfuckers want you to come in. Like, there's nothing in here for me.
Yeah.
There's nothing for me to see here. I don't want to talk about your kitchen table. I don't want to talk about, this year, the first sales call I did for the stupid wall, the above ground idiotic wall, I took the steps backwards and they were like, no, come in. And normally I would have been like, no, fuck this. I'm not going in this house. These people are weirdos. I don't want anything to fucking do with them. I just want to stay outside. And then because I was like desperate and I hadn't sold any work and I was feeling unconfident and depressed, I was like, fuck it. Maybe I got to go in the house. Maybe that's the difference. And as soon as I set foot and stood in their kitchen and they both looked at me, I was like, this was a fucking mistake.
Just the look in their eyes.
They didn't even have to talk. They just, do you want a glass of water? No, I don't want your fucking water. Do you want a coffee? Do I look like I want a fucking coffee? What I want to do is look at whatever project you have outside because this kitchen floor is doing nothing for my family. Give a fuck about it. But I knew I just had a brief lapse in judgment because of the economic situation that I was entailed in. And I thought maybe if I go in the door, that is what my sales is missing right now, is that I don't get in the door.
Do you think the people that go in close more than the people who stay outside?
Maybe, but they're probably creepy too.
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
That CMG kid getting right in the fucking house. like right in the fucking house, like
without being asked.
hugging the kids. You guys are
I don't
great.
I don't know if you guys saw this. I made this I pulled up to a four-way stop this week, and there was 23 landscaping lawn signs on one corner.
Wow.
23. And I made a post about it on Instagram about, that's how I judge the economic situations, and that's my market indicator. If there's 23 bag signs on a corner, I know I need to like really tighten up my prices a bit. If I
That's
don't have stuff
crazy.
booked. Well, it doesn't. So two things amazed me about the situation. One, there was a lot of signs, which is in itself amazing. But what I do want to know is, what is the mental setup of the motherfucker that put the 23rd sign there?
That's what I was thinking.
Like, who got in their truck and said, fuck, there's 22 signs there. Mine will be the one that stands out. My 2-color bag sign that's $3 with a $1 wire, mine will be the one that stands out. So I posted that and got almost no response from it when I first posted it. And I thought it was funny. I just, and there's some people that are putting a ton of lawn bag signs around our area. So I just kind of like making fun of them without them knowing, just to make myself feel better about the situation. Because when other people hurt, that's when I feel the best. That's not true of all of us. I'll say it out loud. And then people started calling. People call me about it now. People phone me. They're like, "Hey man, that bag sign thing." I was like, "Fuck man!" Like, it just all of a sudden everyone's was watching it, and I don't know. It is true though. Like, if you're driving up to a property and you see like 15 bag signs I don't mean in front of houses where work's done. I mean on random boulevards. You know that the market indicator is that you need to be sharp you've got to be sharp on your sales pitch. Probably you got to go in the house and eat a cookie. Like, fuck it, you got to drink the milk. You got to have a coffee afterwards, and you got to have a sharp, and you got to have, I don't think you need to have a low price, but you need to have a sharp price. You need to have a price that's, where you're not, I don't know. I'm not saying you need to be like, I don't, whatever. Anyways, that's my opinion on bag signs.
The
Fuck
bag
that.
signs, they just have like pavers, interlock, patios, driveways, and then a number, right?
Yeah,
There's nothing differentiating themselves.
Some of them have the company logos on them in our area,
Okay.
which is like, you're kind of setting yourself, because it's illegal to put them out.
Yeah.
Chad's been really quiet. Maybe he's a big bag sign guy.
I know. My flags are ready though.
Oh, you got them.
So I ordered some flags. I think I'm just gonna put them on the truck, just blowing around as we drive.
What do they
Like,
say?
those fuck Trudeau signs, like that, but just an NDL sign while we
Nice.
drive. See if that drums up any work.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is there any contact information on the flag?
No, they just say NDL.
Perfect.
None of my trucks have contact info. If you Google NDL, it doesn't even come up. Like, unless you know what NDL stands for, we're not doing your job. Like, I don't know how people are calling.
Someone called me for driveway sealing. And briefly I thought, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not putting the black tar on.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
not even pavers.
No, it was like tar sealing. Like, I want a shiny black driveway. I was like, I'm not the person.
Yeah.
Who is the person? I don't know. Look at the bag signs on the corner.
Yeah. I think there's university students that go around and do that.
And they push a cart all day.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they hope that whoever dropped them off comes back for them.
My buddy did college pro painters for a summer, and then he ended up doing that.
Wow.
My roommate, actually.
What, for a living?
No, he did it for 2 seasons or something.
Oh, sprayed driveways?
Well, college pro painters first, and then he wasn't making any money. And because they take a recurring fee every month, And it's usually a lot more than what what you actually make on it.
Really?
Yeah.
How does it
It's
work?
it's a lot. So you pay every month for the college pro painter's name. I forget what he said, but it was a lot of money. Like I want to say at least $5,000 a month.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like they take these kids for all their plus commission on every sale too.
But who calls someone called college pro and expects them to actually be pros? Because to me, they don't go together. You're learning to something you're going to college for something, and it sure shit isn't painting,
Well,
right?
then you have to pay for training as well. So you have to go fly somewhere, get trained, and then you go out and you start doing it. So all the trainings you have to pay for. Um,
This is people with no money.
but they use people who have been successful or are successful because there's always outliers, right? And they use them to pump the product. And I just remember my buddy was super pumped to make a lot of money on it because he met somebody that made a lot of money. But yeah, the
It sounds
stories
like
that I heard,
he got painting guru'd.
he got painting guru'd. Yeah.
Gurus come in all shapes, colors, and sizes.
Speaking of gurus, the Grant Cardone thing that you guys signed me up for, or whoever it did, got a call today while I was in the truck, and it was a Pennsylvania number, so I didn't pick it up. But they called immediately after, so I thought, might as well pick it up. So they're calling twice in a row. It's forget the guy's name, but I'm calling from Grant Cardone's office, and I said, "Oh no," and I hung up on him right away. And then he proceeded to call me back 3 more times immediately after that.
You should have said you'd only talk if it was Grant himself.
Yeah, I should
That's
have.
the only way
Oh,
you're gonna stay on the line here.
did he call you 10x? Like, is that the limit? They call you 10 times?
I don't know.
You got to talk to someone 7 times before a close or whatever. I don't know. I used to know that shit. I don't know anymore. I do not know.
Before you get a
They used to say
yes
7
or
touch
something.
points before you get a lead. But now they're saying a lot more based on digital marketing, at least. I think it's like 13 now.
And this guy called me because he saw me in the phone book. How many touch points is that? Like, are you telling me the old shit doesn't work anymore?
Might be underpriced,
I don't know. I don't know.
especially if you have people hanging on to 20-year-old phone books.
I wasn't even in business 20 years ago, so I don't know. The last print phone book. They don't even do that anymore, do they?
When your clients offer you something, what's the likelihood that you accept? And we talked about the beer client before, but what about anything else? Water, coffee?
I'll take a water.
Yeah.
If they they usually leave it on the step, right? They bring it out, leave it on the step, some waters and Gatorade.
People leave a
sometimes.
cooler and stuff. Or I think that I've accepted my fair share of pizzas.
Pizzas. Wow.
I know, like at the end of a job, someone's like, "Last day here, I'll get a pizza, or I'll barbecue some chicken."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we had that once. Guy had a big bash, big bash. I'm like, I'm trying to finish here.
Stain the papers.
I'm not trying to. That was the job.
Barbecue sauce. Mike, can you get this out before you go?
That was a job where the sloped driveway fucked us on the poly sand.
Oh man.
It rained hard, and then all the sand washed out and went in the sewer, and then the city came. It was like a whole thing.
Like
Yeah, all of it was no, all of it, like the whole driveway, all the sand went into the sewer and caused
Wow.
some kind of problem. And then the city came to that guy's house, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
No way.
And it was like, yeah, it was a Techo block. The paver was a Mista. I don't know if you guys remember that one.
Oh yeah.
Very
Still
similar
around.
to Trafalgar.
Yeah.
So the joints are wide, and the gutter of rain just cleaned it out, like all of it, like gone.
It's a lot of sand.
I called the, hey man, there's all the sand and it's because it was on a slope. Okay. Another favorite, it's near a tree. Okay.
Oh my
So
God.
no slopes, no trees, no shade. Got it. Totally got it.
Shade was high up on the list. That would have got you a lot of points.
Really?
I had one lady freak out because we did like a banding across her garage, and the seam right where the garage ends and the interlock starts, for some reason her roof was shedding water right onto that seam, and the poly sand was splashing up and hitting the garage door, and she withheld payment from us because of that. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do here. Like, what do you do?
Well, you'd
Put
hope the
something up?
sand gets hard so when water hits it, it doesn't
Yeah.
splash up. Like, that's the whole point of it is that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but it erodes because only the top layer of sand hardens, right? So the top sand
That's also not
hardens
supposed to be the
and
case.
erodes, and then the bottom sand, which is soft, is splashing up and hitting the garage door.
That's because you didn't have enough water.
Enough water? It never. I don't care who you are. It doesn't
Do you have any
harden
more
all the
questions,
way.
Mike?
Yes, I do.
I think there's a rep or two that would disagree.
Mm,
If you,
They've
I
yet
think
to come out to my site, so
part of it is that you didn't pre-compact.
mm, I don't. I honestly can't remember if we did or not.
Irish Patab. I hope I got that right. Oh, actually, speaking of which, and I don't know why that's just reminded me. Maybe he messaged us about this, but I brought up us creating our own product recently, and we've got some suggestions from people.
Really?
Actually, a few people suggested we create our own tequila and call it tequila. That was actually like I probably got 2 or 3 messages about that.
I was thinking about this because I was thinking about this in some product. Now I can't remember the product, probably because my brain is cooked. But I don't know what it was, but it was a good product. I was like, man, we should label that. And
So here's one. Roberto Rodriguez. I'll read his whole message here because it's good. So T-Pain came up with a candle set. So his own candles. So scents of scapes featuring fragrances such as corrugated pipe, PVC primer, just to get you started here. And I thought this was great. So I started spitballing some ideas with him. Def fluid, silica dust. He said wet cut pavers. Yeah, and he just said, yeah, just don't worry about tequila. Go for NOFH candles of scents of scapes.
We could all have our own signature scent.
Yeah.
Mine would be cutting PVC pipe with a quick cut.
Oh yeah.
I don't, yeah. I don't mind grinding through a big roll of filter cloth with a quick cut to cut it from.
Oh no.
Well, one of the guys I worked with did that, but for some reason it was hot out or something, and he melted that side of the roll together.
I've
So
done that.
he
It's
couldn't,
terrible.
he couldn't unroll the fabric after.
I did that to a roll. Yeah.
Oh,
Another one.
yeah.
Any other things, Mike?
So do you guys like the candle idea or what?
I don't mind the candle idea.
Yeah.
Who can make us candles?
So yeah, going back to the question for the next podcast, and this was April 3rd, so we're a bit off. How do you deal with good workers that often show up late for work? How many times before you fired them? And do you guys have any strict company policy?
These are good workers.
It's a good question.
How much do you want to poke them? Like, is just
I judge it based on like we have a person who's habitually late. what that person does for us, it doesn't necessarily affect the whole crew
Hmm.
because that person is an individual that doesn't work with the crew. So we've worked on all kinds of different things. That person is a very good employee. And one of the most effective things for us was instead of saying you have to be here at 6:45 or 6:30, we started like show up between 6:45 and 7. And that definitely made a difference for whatever reason. Maybe it's because it's a varying time. It's not as insistent as this is the time.
Mm.
Because there's people who are subconsciously defiant personalities. So if you're a subconsciously defiant personality and someone tells you to be here right at 6:30, maybe you show up at 6:35. The problem being that when you're working with a whole crew, now you have a truck full of people. The other option would be to say drive to the site.
Right.
Yeah, that would be another option, I guess. If it's a crew of people, it's hard when they're holding up a crew of people consistently. It doesn't matter how good a worker they are; they're cutting down, and they're also planting the seed that everyone can. It's a disaster. It's a
Is it
disaster.
worse to have a good employee that shows up late or a shitty employee that's early? Because I've had both.
If the good employee shows up late and it affects everybody, what do you think?
Yeah, it's like I'm still struggling with it myself. I don't know if I necessarily have an answer. We've got all kinds.
If they're continuously late, do you guys have some sort of documentation for that?
No.
No.
No,
Um,
not in my poorly run company.
But do you have that ongoing problem with any of your employees?
Not on a consistent basis where they're 10 minutes late. Like
Right.
if they're not in the truck by the time it's time to go, then you can get yourself to work to the job site or you can not show up that day. But there's no real waiting around for the guy.
so you don't promote waiting around.
No.
Are they clocked in as soon as they arrive to your yard, Chad?
Yeah.
And then so they
Yeah.
consider that's the hour that they start? Or
That's the hour that they start. Yeah,
Gotcha.
because most of the time, we've got stuff to load up and
Right.
go get things from there. Like it's I don't love the idea of everybody taking their car to the job site and having a parade of cars down the road, but I mean, I can understand how it saves some contractors money and stuff like that, and then the guys can go on their lunch or whatever. We don't really take a lunch, so I mean, it's just how things have always been, and that's where I came from, where everybody got in the work truck. You were there at 10 to 7 or whatever, and you got in the work truck, and then you went to whatever job it was, and then you were landlocked there for the day. Old school mentality, maybe.
We had times when we said no one can. I've had times when I've said no one can leave the job site, no company trucks. Or I used to have this. This is a rule we used to have when it came to lunch. Was lunch is half an hour. That's your half an hour. Do with it what you want. But every minute after that half an hour, that's my minute. If I choose to give you that minute on Tuesday because it's steaming fucking hot and I think that everyone's worked really hard and they deserve a few more minutes on lunch, that's my minutes. So when people used to fuck off for lunch and then come back and they came back in 31 minutes, you took minutes that didn't belong to you. You took my minutes. You assumed that I was going to give them to you and you were wrong. Today, lunch was going to be half an hour. So, I always have thought like sometimes lunch is 40 minutes. Sometimes lunch is, it depends on what you're trying to get done that day too. So But that's why at one time we banned all the trucks from leaving the site because guys were taking too many of my minutes. Too many of the minutes that I decided whether or not you got to sit around.
Hmm.
They're like you're saying like you don't ever have lunch. There's
Yeah,
I know, but there's an argument that you should be having lunch all the time because if you ever have to go to the labor board, you are fucked.
the guys are absolutely free to take their lunch. Without a doubt, I don't tell them you cannot sit around for half an hour and have your lunch. If you want to, you are absolutely welcome to. The guys understand that, every single one of them,
But they don't.
but they don't. They also don't get ragged whenever they're on their phone for 5 minutes here or 6 minutes here in the middle of the day, right? Like it's a two-way street,
Right.
Yeah.
right? Like that's just it. It's understood for the 8 guys that we have that's how this operates, right? I'm not going to rag on you for being on your phone for a minute in the truck or whatever, but you're also not going to give me shit because, oh, I didn't get my lunch today, because you were always welcome to it from the start. It's just company policy that,
Sorry.
not company policy. It's just
Did some
the
bubble just
unspoken.
show up at Chad's? Did you see that, PK?
Some what? A bubble?
Yeah, some bubble just showed up, but it was blurred slightly, but
A
it covered your
bubble?
face for a little bit. It was like a thumbs up bubble.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. All of a
Yeah,
sudden,
I
it
don't-
just showed up and
Didn't happen
disappeared.
on my computer.
Really? Sorry, that's just why I laughed. I wasn't laughing at you.
Oh, I don't know.
But
There's a ghost in the machine, or what do they call it?
what about like a new employee that do they understand that, or what if they want to go for a lunch and everybody else doesn't, or anything like
Maybe we've just been lucky where everybody so far has fallen in line with what's going on here, but um, I can't really say. I've never had a guy say, "Oh, it's my lunchtime. I'm gonna," like, first of all, I doubt that a new guy that hops in with 2 or 3 of the other guys is gonna say, "Can I take the truck at lunch to go whatever, go get myself a pizza or whatever," right? That's, as a new guy, that takes some fucking balls.
But then they
Right.
have a cooler. Would they, or like their lunch or whatever, they bring it with them? They
Yeah,
just eat it on the ride somewhere or something like that.
yeah, or park it. It's 12 o'clock. You want to have your lunch? Take your cold pizza out, have a seat. You're more than welcome. Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Some of the guys are going to keep working, but you're more than welcome to have your lunch.
Gotcha.
It's
So the guys that keep working, do they get paid lunch?
Yep.
The guy that doesn't, do you still pay his lunch?
Nope. Not if he's not working. I don't know what the rule is, but whatever the rule is
Well,
what
if
we
you don't know
follow.
what the rule is, who does know what the rule is?
Connie, the bookkeeper, the payroll lady. She knows what the rule is. I'm
So
also not with them every day, right? But they do a pretty good job at keeping each other in check.
sure.
Like I say, we're fast and loose with everything here, and it seems to
Fast
work.
and loose.
Yeah, we have there's a system in not having a system.
Whether you know you have a system or not, you have a system.
Yeah, that's
Do
it.
you think that not following like a legal, rigorous, like you work 3 hours, you have a 15-minute break, then you have a half-hour lunch, then you have like, do you think that not following those kind of things in the long term would keep you from expanding the company the way you want it to go?
Mm,
Or do you think you can have 100 employees all not taking lunch, all not following any kind of breaks? I'm just being devil's advocate. I'm not disagreeing
no,
with you.
I get what you mean. I don't
just-
think we're set up to ever be that 100-man company now.
So how many do you want to be? I'm just
8.
wondering like where you, so if you're 8
Yeah,
forever,
8, 10. That is what it is. Like, how profitable do you want to be and still maintain your sanity and still
I,
feel
I,
like you're,
well, that's not,
and
yeah.
are you any more profitable at 20 or 30 than you were at 15 if things take longer and get lost in the shuffle and Now you're dealing with
Oh,
HR problems and
but
all this
that's
stuff,
not.
right?
Yeah, I agree with being like it's hard to expand and stay profitable. That's not. But it was more about like by playing like fast and loose and just sort of doing whatever everyone wants. At at what stage of growth does that become a problem? When there's 15 employees? Like let's say you bid next year, you have the opportunity to bid 3 jobs in a row that are all $2 million, and you get them all on the same day. And now you're contractually obligated to do $6 million worth of work next year. Do you think you could now you have to hire more than the 8 you have? The 8 you have can never do $6 million worth of work. Do you think you can hire 30 fast and loose employees, 40? This is just
No,
me. Like I'm not saying this is what
here's
you want to do. It's just
no, I get it. In that situation, your original 8 are on the first $1 million job or whatever, right? They're keep they're fast and loose with that $2 million job, right? But then your other crews have a different set of rule, at least to get you through that season until you can build the infrastructure to get all these guys in line. And maybe it
at,
doesn't work. Maybe your first original 8 never follow that plan, right?
at what point though does it start to conflict where you have to get rid of the first original 8?
Do you
Because
ever? If they're
I I think you do if you want to. This is I'm not saying this is what you're doing in your company
but
either.
do,
I think that the people you begin with may not be the people you finish with.
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah, I can see
Because
that.
because if you get to, say you do 6 million next year and you have these 8 fast and loose guys that are influencing the behavior of some of the other 30 people. Because they're like, oh, the fast and loose guys show up at 7:05. The fast and loose guys are on their phones all the time. The fast and loose guys are doing this. And then the next year, though, you happen to close $10 million worth of work.
Yeah, because they'll
And then,
continue
and
to
then
take this another step,
those
right?
yeah,
You give
those
them an
8,
inch, they'll take a foot.
yeah, those, well, it's not the original 8 that will do that.
Right, the new people.
It's not the original 8 that will take you give them an inch, take a foot. It's the people watching what's the original, because sooner or later they're going to
No,
intermix. I know
yeah,
what you're saying. This cruise here and that cruise there, but
but
you,
why does it always have to go bad, right? Why can't it be the new guys are coming in, they're seeing the original 8 not taking a lunch and they're working right through,
I think it's
you
entitlement.
know? It's what do you mean? Like,
I mean, if they see that, then they adapt that, and
I
then
think I think it's what's legal structure in the workplace in Ontario.
yeah, they're
Like,
also coming in with like
I'm not, I'm
preconceived
not, yeah.
notions. Yeah,
I don't know that if you want to take your legally mandated lunch at half an, because if other people are working and you're not, sooner or later there's going to be a conflict. If you hire a ninth guy to join the original 8 who sits and eats his lunch every day for exactly half an hour, that guy will not be your employee very long.
yeah, I can see that.
Because the other people are, even if he's marking it off his time card, he's doing everything properly, the other 8 people will start to be like, hey man, we're getting these trees in and you're getting to go home at 5 o'clock because I didn't eat a lunch today and you did. Like, or one of the original 8 will be like, hey, that guy's eating lunch every day. You know what? I wouldn't mind eating lunch every day. I never really liked this that much.
and
I
you're
was,
always entitled to have your lunch every day.
but are
Right?
you,
That's not
well,
the
I'm not, I'm saying, are you in, and I'm just being devil advocate. I don't disagree with your system. I want to like, but I'm saying if I'm sorry, but if you're with 8 people and 7 of them are saying we don't fucking eat lunch at this company and you really want to eat, you may not agree with that policy, but you're going to do it. Like
you're
you're
not gonna
saying, no
you
one,
mean
no
he's
one,
not gonna
no,
eat.
no one is. Maybe 4 of the people that work for you really want to eat lunch every day, but the other 4 don't. And you'll never know that because the 4 dominant people are like ramming it down the other 4's throat.
Yeah, but
You're
yeah, but
saying,
no, because those 8 people aren't working together every day, right? So if the 2 that want to take their lunch are suddenly not working with the 6 who don't want to take their lunch, well, they're having their lunch and I'm showing up on site not seeing them take their lunch, right? So I know if they want to take their lunch, they can have their lunch.
yeah,
Like it's
and maybe that works with the 8 you have, but I
yeah,
think expanding past that 8, that's challenging.
yeah, absolutely it is. But there's more than just a lunch challenge whenever you're expanding from 8 to 20 or whatever it is, right? There's if you're just worried about lunch, that's gravy because there's a million other things that you can worry about, like who's not getting along to begin with, and who can't work with who, and who can't drive the big trucks but needs to get somewhere in a big truck. There's a million other problems besides lunch. So if
There
lunch
is.
is going to be the the mountain that you die on, then you didn't have a good company to begin with.
Well, it's just not your. Yeah. Well, it's not like I just. It doesn't. It's I don't know. Whatever. I'm not.
And I'm not saying my policy is right. I'm not saying I have it figured out by any means.
No.
Again, this could be me with a horseshoe up my ass like it's been for the last 13 years. That could be the only reason this is still working.
Where did you find
But
8 guys that don't take lunch?
Peer
I
pressure. Peer
Yeah.
pressure found
Shane
8 guys that don't take
Shane
lunch.
doesn't eat all day. Like he shows up, he doesn't eat all. He has a coffee in the morning. That's it. Gord, he packs a little like a homemade Lunchable and stuff, and he's like, "I can take 5, have my lunch." Sure, Gord, have your lunch. Take 10. What do I care? You know. Scott, in the middle of the day, he's like, "I gotta eat." Okay, take 10 minutes and go eat. So do what's gonna work for you guys. Like it's the machines need fuel, so do you. You're grown ass adults. I don't have to tell you when to eat.
It sounds like you give them lunch whenever they want to eat lunch. They just are
Yeah, but they
somehow
don't.
dedicated to working hard for
Yeah,
you.
they don't sit on their cooler for 40 minutes and talk and have a soda and shit, right? Like they're eating and then they are happily back at it. They know there's things to do.
I would be interested to see if so. I guess you have paid them for their time, so it wouldn't matter. Well, I'd be interested to see if there's a legal argument that because they didn't get a lunch for every day they worked for you, you owe them half an hour paid time, non-working. Well, it's unpaid. So it would be more about break, like 2 15-minute breaks, which
I'll
obviously,
give them all winter off if they want.
oh no, I'm saying if you have you're supposed to have 2 paid 15-minute breaks a day, which obviously if they're not having lunch, they're definitely not doing that.
Yeah.
Like
It's
the legal requirement is Ontario is you stop and everyone has a 15-minute break. And then like those are legal requirements to operate a business in the province.
I'm not telling them that they can't. I'm not
I know,
slave driving them, but I'm
I know
not
you're not.
managing
I
the
know you're not,
time
but
that they're
I,
taking the break.
I, I understand you're not doing that.
I wonder if there's a requirement for the employer to make sure that they do.
Well, I'm telling you 100% there is.
Yeah, right.
To ensure that again, telling you there was 100%, you have to mandate having these breaks. Like, what I'm saying is if you had a falling out with someone, could they go after you for the half an hour a day of time that you should have paid them that you never did to do nothing? And then times that by how many years they've worked for you. That would be what I'd be interested in. Because that's the only problem I foresee with the current system.
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully, I never have to find out.
Well, hopefully no. It's just
is there? Yeah, I mean,
because there was another company I was associated with that like they would take no breaks till 2:00 and then take an hour between 2 and 3 and then go back to work till the end of the day.
the end of the day is like 4:00.
Yeah.
You don't get anything done after 4 anyway.
I agree with you. The end of the day is 4. Like it's a waste of time after 4:00. You're not accomplishing fuck all. I totally agree with you. I know that became when they expanded there was some legal disputes over that system because that was the company policy. Like the same as that was the company cult. It's more of a cult. It's culture.
Yeah.
Your culture dictates that. Does everybody that works for you stop for half an hour a day and be on their phone or eating their Lunchable or doing? Probably yes, in a whole day.
Yeah.
Grabbing a soda, getting a coffee. You just don't have an organized system.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like, who's to say your ride in the truck isn't your break.
Well, the government would say that you have to work 3 hours, then have a mandated break. So
Okay,
would be the
so
government saying the ride to the job site is not your break. That would be
yeah, but your ride from one job site to another job site, or the ride from the job site to the retailer.
so if every day you have someone at 10 o'clock driving to the retailer, then you could say that's
Maybe maybe I'm grasping at straws here. I think the whole fucking thing is ridiculous. If you're a grown man, you can go to work and decide whenever you need a break or you need to eat and then get back at it. Because nobody's scolding you for doing those things. So
I
maybe I
think that
give
you
them too
have
much credit. Maybe I should be structuring their
I
day more. Like,
no, I think that you're really obviously you've done something to stimulate a good culture and a good environment where people are eating when they need to eat. Because there's an argument that I'm not hungry at 10 o'clock and my body doesn't need fuel, but my body does need fuel at 9:30. So under your system, if someone at 9:30 is like, hey Chad, like I'm just fucking starving today. I need a pound of water and an orange. You're like, fuck yeah, bro, do what you gotta do. I'm assuming that's what happens, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, but if you
Go
were
have
to
a
man
water, an orange, and a fucking coffee if you want, and play on your phone for 5 minutes. I don't give a shit.
if you're mandating a 10 o'clock stop, that might not work for like there's something to say that your crews are more productive because they're eating when they need to eat, not when it's mandated to eat.
Yeah.
Like if someone needs to eat at 9 a.m., that means if they're starving and hungry, the hour between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m., how productive is that person really going to be?
Do you ever get the shakes at 9 o'clock in the morning and you need to eat something?
I'm,
I have. It fucking
I,
sucks. And your boss is yelling at you because it's not break time yet.
yeah.
That's shitty.
But maybe you've found the key to productivity by people feeding themselves when they need to.
It just happens to be illegal because it's not mandated.
There's a lot of good things that are illegal,
Fuck.
like switchblades.
Full circle again. That's great.
I should write a books. I
Yeah.
should fucking write a book. I when you analyze your system more and more, as long as the people that are within the system are good at self-managing. Like if you were
Yeah.
interviewing new people, you you should care less about their skills. You should care less about anything. What you should be interviewing for is can you self-manage yourself? Because the rest of it you could teach them. What you
Or are
can't teach
you,
is someone with self-discipline.
yeah, are you moldable, right? Like, can you fit into a working environment with people who do things differently than you, and can you learn to adapt that way?
You're
Part
flexible.
part of it would have to be can you accept something different? If your body requires fuel at 9:45 and that's when you need to eat, when the other guy stops at 10:15 but you're in the middle of laying a patio and now you don't have the guy that was carrying to you so you got to get up and go carry and
Yeah.
feed yourself. Can you it's more about acceptance because there's at your between your 8 people there is a vast amount of acceptance going on, acceptance of people's differences.
Let's not make a mistake. They don't all work together all the time, and they wouldn't. This doesn't necessarily work for 8 guys on a job site, right? But it works for 2 crews of 3 and then another pair or something, right?
Would it work if you have all 8 together? Do you still do the same thing?
That's like putting fucking 8 cats in a bag. You don't fucking do it. Like unless the site is big, you don't put fucking those 8 cats in a bag.
So my speech about acceptance is actually just bullshit. There is no acceptance.
No, but as a business owner, you know that what you can and can't do with your employees, right? Can expect out of them and stuff. And I can't expect 8 of them to work together. I can
Fair.
expect 4 of them to work together and get along. And those 4 can
Is it
turn
the
around and go
same?
to.
Is it the same 4, or can you change that 4? Is it the people or the number 4?
You can change some people, but some people can never be together. Right?
Yeah.
So
I like the analogy. cats in a bag.
You never heard that before?
I have, but it
Uh,
works perfect with this
Yeah,
situation.
that's what it is. That's
This was a great second half of the podcast.
Yeah, once again, the second half is better than the first.
That was a good debate. I like that.
yeah. Well, what
I
would you
do. I
guys
do.
do? Like,
Us, we have break at 10 for 15 minutes. We have break
but
at 12 for half an hour.
what if
We
someone needs to eat at 9?
That's what I'm agreeing with you. What if someone does need to eat at 9? Because it's like I'm sure all of us being in the landscape trade have been in a situation where there was just nowhere to take a piss. And you just keep working and working and working and there's no way to take a piss. But then it becomes so overwhelming that you're like, fuck, I can't concentrate on what I'm doing. I'm getting slower because your body is solely focused on the fact that you can't piss. And that's when you get guys pissing at the side of the house. I brought that back around. See, I brought that full circle. But it's the same. I would say to you that it's the same with food. And so if we're taking break at 10 every day, what if there's someone that needs to eat at 9? And that person stopped for 5 minutes at 9 o'clock and ate a chicken breast and juiced up some protein. Would they have had a really productive hour between 9 and 10? Whereas they're not going to have a productive hour because their body's worn down and tired because it didn't eat food. Yeah.
I don't have to know, right?
Is Mike running his company at peak? Mike has made many comments about how his labor rates shouldn't apply because he's so goddamn efficient.
In certain scenarios, yeah.
But is that because when you work oftentimes by yourself, you're feeding yourself when you need to be fed, not at certain hours of
Yeah,
the day?
and I'll go a full day without eating because I just forget and I just work. Like when I've had 2 employees, I just tell them, much like Chad, you know when you're tired, you take a break. You know when you're hungry, you go for lunch. And I would tell them, like, you guys communicate between the 2 of you. You tell me when lunch is because I'll go the entire day and I won't eat. And then I'll eat with you guys.
Did
Or
you tell them it's because I'm a hero?
no.
We should add that.
I
I'll go
think
a
you
whole
don't
day without
shame
eating.
them.
You know what?
When you shame them, then it becomes a labor issue.
Yeah, I guess so.
Potentially. I like the system of eating when you're hungry.
It works for human beings,
When I
inside
worked at
and
the
outside of
supply
work.
yard, we didn't have dedicated times to lunches and breaks.
What?
When I worked at the supply yard, we didn't have dedicated times for lunches and breaks. We just
So
took a break when we were tired and then lunch whenever because it didn't make sense that at 12 o'clock we went for lunch because that's when all the contractors came in, right? And then once that rush died down, then it would be like, okay, who
But
needs
was
to
there
go out
like
for lunch?
was it like a dedicated, this is my half an hour between 12 and 12:30?
No, because if somebody came in, they had to be served.
I'm going to
So,
stand at the counter and eat this McMuffin.
no,
So you didn't stand at the counter and eat McMuffins?
no, because I was in the yard for 6 of
Never
the
once?
7 or 8 years. So I ate in the yard,
On the forklift?
on the forklift, on the bench,
Did you ever cook your
On a
food?
pallet.
Did you ever
on the pallet.
did you ever warm your food on the exhaust?
No, we had a toaster oven, we had a microwave.
Spoiled. Spoiled. And that's the end of the episode. Bye.
Wow.